Everyone experiences the world differently. Our perception is impacted by countless variables like our past experiences, social and economic status, upbringing, and even our mood. Welcome to this presentation of Term 1's project. I'm Paul Lutz, and I'm very excited to show you what I came up with during this term. Let's first start by explaining the brief. The brief was to reverse engineer the human-centered design process, starting with an experience, and create a designer system that recreates, responds, or communicates something specific about that initial experience. So, what is the experience that we had to recreate in the project? We went on a tour of Hillbrow, a neighborhood in Johannesburg. This tour brought a completely new perspective to what a city can be, since I am not used to this context of living at all. So I went with my trusty camera and decided that I was going to take a picture of every single surveillance camera in the area, and there were a lot. I found out some really interesting things. Firstly, surveillance in different places are used for different purposes. Some of the cameras seem to make the area safer by monitoring for criminal activity, while others do exactly the opposite. Criminal activity monitoring for other people trespassing. Secondly, I saw that people being observed have no idea who is behind the camera. It's so easy for these cameras to become background noise. You not even recognize them in your daily life. But who is looking behind them? Who is observing you, and what are they using that information for? So, I created some experience diagrams to show my experience in a visual way and try to construct my thoughts and feelings during the time. This is the first one, which explores the surveillance of Hillbrow. You can see a map, and at each different point where the experience changed, I noted a paragraph and a thought that I had during that time. You can see the route that we followed and also the camera coverage along that route. The key on the left shows exactly what items are shown. The second diagram maps my emotions along with being surveilled during this time. Here the camera takes center point, and you can see at which areas we were being surveilled and when not, and what emotion I felt at every major point of interest. The last diagram shows some interesting conclusions that might be made by an observer or a computer system running the camera feed through its software. I chose a few cameras from the area and then reconstructed the images to highlight some interesting things that happened during this time. Now to research. I decided to research surveillance globally and locally. Starting globally, the most prolific surveillance system in the world is probably that of China. China has some very notable systems of surveillance, like cameras on the streets, internet surveillance, and surveillance methods based on social credit and identity. They also have a mass surveillance system with more than 626 million cameras in the mainland. And this is used as a mechanism of control that encompasses the entire nation in order to strengthen the government's power. Let's look at the local surveillance in Joburg. In Joburg, there are over 15,000 VumaCam systems installed, and there are thousands additionally which are privately controlled. The issue with this is that it indicates that it could lead to false arrests, the targeting of innocent citizens, and unfair discrimination against minority groups. So, with this in mind, I came up with the main concept, where traditionally you have a person being observed by a camera. I wanted to reverse this role and put the person in the camera's position. Essentially, I want to build an AR system that allows the user to take on the role of the observer. Let's look at some of the features. I'd like to view a city from any angle in 3D space. You'd be able to observe the city's inhabitants going about their daily lives and also see how their behavior changes when they realize they're being observed. Here is a sketch of the system. You have your camera that projects the 3D scene onto real-life environment. And you can see this overlay provides context to the city and its inhabitants. The camera can move around, of course, and interact with the city in a very immersive setting. What technologies will I be using? Well, I used iOS with Apple's Reality Kit framework, and this all exports into a reality file which can be opened on any iOS device running the latest software. The project is also on GitHub, so anyone can download and use it. Okay, let's demo the project. When you launch the experience, no augmented reality overlay is shown until you hover over the core image. You get a button which, when pressed, generates the augmented reality environment. As you can see, it's Hillbrow. You can move around it and view its landmarks. You can also see people walking around and hear the environment around you. You can walk along the path that we took during this thing, looking at the gum tree over there and more inhabitants down the street, as well as the Telkom Tower. As you walk further, you get around the corner to see the adult entertainment center and the market on the side. If you like, you can get up close and zoom in and move with the citizens in between the buildings. Watch what happens when you get close to a citizen and they notice you. You'll see that a little animation plays and a sound indicating that they heard you. What's really cool is that we can get very up close and personal with these citizens. Sounds like they don't enjoy you looking at them. There are some Easter eggs, like being able to look down the Pronto building. Oh dear, she doesn't sound very happy to see us. As you get an overview of the city, you can see what it might be like to be someone that observes this area. By tapping the Ponte City, just as quickly as you entered the experience, you can leave it as well. And everything resets back to just this one image. In conclusion, this process brought to light new ways of thinking about people and the environments they live in. One of the challenges I faced was to actually reverse engineer the human-centered design process and start with this experience and work backwards, which actually taught me a lot about how this process works. One of the main highlights was to actually learn how to create for augmented reality, because it allows for a level of immersion not achieved by traditional systems. I had a lot of fun working on this project and dictating my own deliverables and things to provide. I hope you also find it intriguing. Thank you very much. Remember, watch or be watched.